Hey, what's up guys? My name's Adonis and I'm a big fan of horror movies. Over the years I've noticed that it seems to be really hard to find a good horror movie these days. It's like the studios overuse amounts of gore and jump scares to make these cheap horror movies. So I'm here to review these movies and tell you which ones are my favorite and also my least favorite. Because in my mind, every night is Halloween. Now let's start the fucking show. Alright, what's up you motherfucking cocksuckers? We are back. So, I just got back from the theater from seeing Megan 2.0, and holy fucking dog shit, this movie was horrible. So, let's start from the top. If you haven't seen the first Megan, basically, there is an orphaned kid, played by Violet McGraw. Her aunt becomes her new caregiver, and to help protect her, her aunt is super into technology and robotics and AI and that kind of shit. So to help protect her niece, she builds a robot called Megan. Megan's primary objective is to keep Katie, the name of the niece, safe. So everything starts out fine at first, and it's almost as if Katie has a little play buddy to keep her entertained. But what happens is Megan starts to go corrupt and starts to develop a mind of her own and gets a little too protective of Katie. And she starts killing people that she feels is a threat to Katie's safety, including a house owner and her dog. Luckily for her, it wasn't John Wick's dog. But yeah, she kills a dog that bites Katie. And I wouldn't call it exactly a horror movie because it was like, okay, a robot's gone rogue. Yeah, I've seen a million of those before. It's also a PG-13 rated movie, so they didn't go full on with the gore. I feel like in order for you to consider something a horror movie, it has to be rated at least R. You know, I need that intensity. I need those intense jump scares that are going to keep me up at night. I need so much gore it makes you vomit. Megan doesn't have any of that because, well, it's a PG-13 rated movie. So they don't go all out with the cursing. They don't go all out with the violence. They don't go all out with the jump scares. It feels like I'm watching a kid's movie almost. Or somewhere, maybe like a teen movie, like somewhere in between kids and, like, maybe this is for older kids, because there's curse words here and there, like maybe like a 14, 15 years old. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a movie made for someone my age. What I like about the first Megan movie is how well they made Megan. Honestly, Megan has quickly become one of my top favorite horror icons, along with the popular Pennywise and Ghostface and Art the Clown. In the first movie, I think just because of Megan's personality and kind of what she does and who she is, I feel like she had the potential to be up there with the rest of the horror legends. The way they made her, so you gotta understand that Megan instructs a corrupt AI doll that has a mind of her own and is no longer listening to the person in charge of her, which would be Gemma, Katie's aunt, and Katie at times. But because of the way she moves and the way that she talks, she kind of talks in a deranged voice, and it's almost as if she's possessed by a demon. Like, there are times in the movie where she legit looks like she's full-on possessed by a demon. And it's as if a demon is trying to kill you. But in reality, she's not Annabelle. She's literally just a corrupt robot that has developed a mind of her own. And she's basically doing whatever the fuck she wants to. Anyway, the movie ends with them destroying Megan. And yeah, when I first saw the movie, I thought it was mid. I didn't think it was horrible, but it's not my favorite horror movie in the world either. Now, when Megan 2.0 came out, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, the first one was good enough. I could see why they would make a sequel for it. Yeah, I'll go see it. I was actually looking really forward to it because the trailer was quite deceiving. So in the trailer, it shows that Megan is seemingly coming back as the good guy now to take on Amelia, an even bigger threat. So Amelia is basically another corrupt robot who wants to take over the world and also kill anyone who had anything to do with the making of Megan. So Megan gets a new body and is going off to fight the new horror doll, which would be Amelia. So it seems like they were transitioning from horror into full-on action movie. I was kind of hoping for like a horror action movie. Like movies like Scream and Final Destination, I feel, are the perfect combo of horror and action combined. And I think that's why they've done so well. So I went to see it on opening day, and God, I was so disappointed. I don't even know where to start. So first of all, the first 20-30 minutes of the movie is Gemma talking all this science shit that I don't even understand. I mean, she's doing all these TED Talks, and like, I get she's a tiny scientific person, but Jesus Christ, it feels like I'm watching a fucking documentary. Like, you have to get so in detail with the X factor and the Y factor, and like, I don't even remember what she said. All I remember is that I was bored out of my fucking mind. And it was like 20-30 minutes into the film, I was like, alright, when are we gonna get some action? Like, we get it. You're super popular now. You talk about the dangers of AI while also critically working on AI yourself. We get it that you're overprotective of Katie now because of what happened with Megan, and Katie hates you for it. Jesus Christ, move along with the fucking story. I am falling asleep here. I paid $20 fucking to go see this movie when I could have stayed at home and watched Amazon Prime for free or for $15 a month. Jesus, holy mother of fucking Christ. Once we finally get the ball rolling, yeah, Amelia is this new robot built by some people that stole the idea from Megan's blueprint. And Amelia, she like wants to kill everybody that's associated with the making of Megan. She's got like this whole revenge on humanity mentality. A really poor written character, if you ask me. So Megan, as it turns out, her consciousness, because, okay, so Gemma has an AI-generated house, which is so funny how she constantly does these TED Talks about, like, how too much computer time is bad for your kids, and phone time is bad for your kids. You should have limited screen time for your kids, and the dangers of AI. And then you go to her house, and her house is literally run by AI. I mean, she's got, like, this whole AI-generated kitchen, and AI-generated TV, and lights, and her whole house is fucking AI. So Gemma is a fucking hypocrite, basically. And I think Katie sees that, and I think that's part of the reason why Katie has sort of grown to dislike her. I don't want to say dislike. Okay, you know when you love your mom, right? But there are certain things that she does that make you hate her. You still love her deep down, but in that moment you hate her. Well, that's kind of the relationship that's going on between Katie and Gemma, where Katie obviously still loves her aunt, but she also hates her. And I think a big part of that is because Gemma is very hypocritical. It's do as I say, not as I do mentality. Well, it turns out that Megan has been living in like this AI this whole time secretly. And Megan is like her consciousness. I don't know how to explain it to you. You got to go see the movie for yourself. But her consciousness is like in her AI. And Megan one day shows up and she's like, yeah, I've been here the whole time. I've been watching you guys. Y'all need to give me a new body to go take on to take on Amelia. Obviously, Gemma doesn't trust her at first because, you know, when Megan was alive, she killed a bunch of people. But now, eventually, Gemma trusts Megan more and more throughout the film, and Gemma convinces her friends to help her rebuild Megan, to help take on this doll with more advanced features. And, you know, the film is just corny. Throughout the film, Megan is telling these really jokes like, hold on to your vaginas. And, you know, in the trailer, it sounded comedic, but when you actually put it in context, it's like, man, this movie is corny as shit. I feel like I'm watching a Disney Channel movie right now. Like, it's just straight up corny after corny. Like, mind you, I don't even understand what's going on through most of the film because there's so much talk about this AI. And they're talking to me as if I know absolutely everything about AI. Bitch, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Jesus Christ. Like, I watched so many scientifical or magic movies. Okay, you got fucking Iron Man, Doctor Strange, basically the entire Marvel universe, DC. Okay, you got Batman. Batman's good with computers, so is like his associates with like Oracle. You ever watch the show Arrow? Felicity from Arrow, she's into computers and whatnot. The Atom is into arrows. I don't really watch anything outside of horror and action, so I can't really think of anything right now. But, like, what's that one movie, Central Intelligence, with Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson? There's stuff about computers in there. There's the fucking Terminators, the robot RoboCop. I mean, there are plenty of movies, old and new, that deal with robots or AI or scientific things or magic things, because magic is also very complicated. And as stated several times throughout the MCU, magic is just science that we don't understand yet. So in a sense, it's scientifical, depending on the type of movie or show you're watching. And it's like, I don't understand the logistics of magic or science, but it still makes sense to me. Like, I still understand. I get what's going on throughout the film. In this movie, they explain it down to the last wire. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I'm bored out of my fucking mind because I feel like I'm watching a goddamn fucking docu-fucking-mentary. So yeah, I'm bored. I'm bored as shit. I'm confused. I ain't come here for all this TED Talk shit. I just wanted to see a bunch of cool fight scenes between Amelia and Megan and then watch them team up and go behead a bunch of people together. That's all I wanted to see. Jesus fucking Christ. So anyway, they go to this convention where Megan is supposed to be undercover but ends up blowing her cover. Everyone finds out, holy shit, Megan's back. Everyone gets scared. There's only like 2 fight scenes in the entire movie between Amelia and Megan. And realistically, Amelia is like this high-powered robot. You should be able to predict everything that Megan is going to do and defeat her easily. Yet somehow, because of plot armor, at the end, Amelia loses. And it's like, go see the movie for yourself. But the way Megan defeats Amelia is so fucking dumb. I'll actually get around to this in a second. So I think how it was so dumb. Now, at one point of the film, they completely destroy Megan. And, you know, her robot body is destroyed. She cannot work. Her robot body is done for. And then, right when Amelia has Katie and Gemma cornered, miraculously, Megan's body comes back to life as if it's haunted or something. And fights Amelia surprisingly well, despite the fact that she's fucking wrecked. I mean, she's so wrecked that her jaw nearly falls off. And then defeats Amelia due to plot armor. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this movie's dumb as shit. No, this movie was fucking horrible. It was fucking horrible. Nothing made sense. And, you know, despite them explaining all this science stuff, it is scientifically inaccurate and just a huge pile of dog shit on a big screen. Anyway, the movie ends with Megan dying again. And then at the end of the movie, they find out that Megan is now once again in, like, Gemma's computer and, like, throughout the household and the whole AI system. And Megan, oh yeah, by the way, Megan is no longer a horror icon. They had the potential. See, what I would have done is make Megan, like, pretend to be the hero and then actually turn out to be the bad guy, and either it turns out that she was secretly working with Amelia, or she joins Amelia and turns on humanity. That would have been a good horror/action movie, but instead they made it barely an action movie, took the horror elements out of it completely. And now Megan, so at the end of the film, it's clear that Megan is still alive. And now Megan is just a full-on good guy now. Like, bitch, what the fuck? And now, I understand people will try to tell you, like, oh, you gotta have forgiveness in your heart. Listen, I'm gonna tell you personally, in my own personal life, I don't forgive people very easily. Simply because in my past, when I have forgiven people before, they have then used that opportunity to then backstab me again. So, I just don't forgive people now. Like, I'm sorry, you fuck up one time, that's it, you're out of my life. And granted, that's just everyday stuff that happens. Megan full-on massacred a bunch of people. And Gemma's like, oh, okay, we're gonna forgive you now. You're the good guy. What, bitch, what the fuck? And I will say one relatable part to the film is when... So there's a scene where someone asks Katie what she wants to do, and Katie is like, oh, I want to follow my aunt's footsteps and do what she does. And because Gemma is against AI, even though she works with it every fucking day like a hypocrite, she's like, no, Katie's not going to do that. She's into soccer. And Katie's like, oh, I don't want to do soccer. And Gemma's like, no, you're going to do soccer. This low-key reminded me of when I was a kid. So, my dad is a video editor. I don't talk to my dad anymore because he's a piece of shit. But my dad is a video editor. And he tried to get me into video editing. As someone in my early teens, I found it very boring. But also, my dad made it boring because of the way he treated me while working with him. My dad made me work with him. And I made it very clear I did not want to do this. But he was trying so hard to get me into video editing and telling people that I really enjoyed it when I did not. And making me want to do it when I clearly wanted to do other things. Like, I was into artwork at the other time, and I didn't want to video edit it. I found it boring, and working side by side with him was a fucking pain. And you know what makes it worse is that him and my mom used to watch documentaries together about kids who had this issue with their parents. Like, my dad's a master chef, and he wants me to be a chef, but I don't want to be a chef, I want to do something else. But my dad can't see that. My dad is trying so hard for me to be a chef. Oh, my dad wants me to go to school and become a doctor, but I don't want to become a doctor. I want to become a musician. But my dad thinks being a musician is for losers, and he wants to try so hard for me to become a musician. And I'm like, how are they watching this? Yet my dad is literally over here trying to force me to become a video editor. Okay, eventually, years down the road, my dad gave up on trying to teach me how to video edit. Now, I was finally free from his grasp for now. Years later, into adulthood, I entered a period in my life where I wanted to become a DJ. And my father tried to shut it down and called me a loser. And it's crazy because he was part of what inspired that. Because as a kid, he would always DJ, and he would talk about how he was a DJ when he was in his college years, and how much fun it was, and how much money he made, and he loved doing it. When I became an adult, I got into the club scene for a large period of my life, and I got into DJing. I got to personally know a lot of DJs, which got me into it, and I wanted to become a DJ for a while. And then he shut it down. He's like, oh, what are you, a fucking loser? He was like, no, you're not going to become a DJ. I'm like, you fucking hypocrite. So that was something that I found relatable with a relationship between Katie and Gemma, where Gemma was literally a hypocrite. I don't find Gemma as a likable character. Honestly, I think a big reason why Megan 2.0 is going to be such a flop is because the only likable character in the movie is Megan. Every other character in the film I fucking hate. Like, how do you have a movie with only one good character? And, well, I used to like Megan. I don't like her anymore because after Megan 1, it was like, okay, she's not there yet, but she has the potential to be in the League of Horror Villains with Jason and Freddy and Ghostface. And then part 2 just fucking flopped that. I mean, just talking about this god-awful movie is giving me a fucking headache. It was corny as shit. It feels like I'm watching a kid's movie because they decided to go with a PG-13 rating. It's not a horror movie at all. It shouldn't even be... The first one shouldn't even be the horror movie category. And speaking of PG-13 rated horror movies, I want to talk about another horror movie I saw recently, which was Night Swim. I had high hopes for this movie. The trailer, once again, the trailers are fucking deceiving. I legit thought that it was going to be an excellent movie. It was not. So, the movie starts out with a little girl that drowns in her pool. And she basically becomes like the ghost of this pool, in this haunted pool. Typical horror movie story, decades later, this family finds the most beat up house on the block. And they're like, hey, we'll fix it up, let's move in, this is where our kids are gonna live. And the dad has like some sort of injury in his hip or leg from playing sports, from playing baseball. So he's like, oh, this pool is gonna be great for my water therapy. So they move into the pool. Well, here's the thing, the pool is haunted by this demon. This demon is really like a ghost demon, call it what you will. But it's basically the dead girl from decades ago. Basically, the water in the pool is haunted. And the concept of it is just so stupid. Because I've seen so many movies where it's like, oh, like the river is haunted or whatnot. Like there is like some creature in or around the water that's haunted. And I've never seen a movie about a fucking pool that was haunted. And only the pool was haunted. And it's later described in the film. So eventually the kids figure out that strange things happen when they're in the pool and only around the pool. And they go to like this house. See, I don't remember, the movie was so bad I don't really remember much of it. So they go to like this house where they meet some lady who had some sort of association with the house. And it turns out this lady's possessed because she drinks the water from a haunted lake. Something like that. Once again, don't quote me on that because I can't. The movie was so god awful I can't remember everything that happened. But basically, the reason why the pool is haunted is because, well, number one was because of the girl drowning. But it seems that the pool water is coming from a haunted lake just nearby the house. Yet nothing strange ever happens around that lake ever. It only happens at the fucking pool. And the movie is not fucking scary except for like one scene where the demon sneaks up on one of the kids, does literally nothing. Like the demon literally, so this girl, she's like 13, 14, she's got a friend over, she's got a boy over, and they're playing Marco Polo. She has her eyes closed and she's like, Marco Polo, Marco Polo. And she says Marco repeatedly. She's like, Marco, Marco, Marco. Has no response. We see this black creature behind her, and in a demon voice he goes, Polo. And she turns around really fast and sees nothing, and she has a panic attack, and her boyfriend gets her out of the water. He's like, what's wrong, what's wrong? She's like, I saw something. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was here the whole time, nothing happened. There were a couple other things where like the demon would grab someone from the family, and like the dad or someone would look up and the demon would be gone, and by the time someone rushed out, like it was like nothing happened. Now, I get that. I get that you're in the pool by yourself with no one else around, and the demon grabs you and someone hears you scream and they run out there, so the demon hears that person scream and disappears. What I don't understand is how the demon literally says Polo in a deep voice and grabs the little girl with her boyfriend there the whole time. Yet the boyfriend didn't notice anything strange, didn't see the demon going on. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Once again, if the water is coming from the pool to the faucets to other pools and faucets and like the water supply for basically the whole neighborhood, how come only the pool is haunted? It doesn't make fucking sense. Anyway, the movie ends with the father sacrificing himself to the demonic entity to destroy it once and for all. And I just thought the movie was terrible. There were like maybe 2 jump scares in it that I kind of saw coming. The movie was very predictable, which makes it very boring. And then once again, the whole concept of, oh, a haunted pool. Bro, the pool is not haunted. Like, the pool, you can't make a pool scary. You cannot convince me that a pool is fucking scary. You just can't. Also, if someone dies in a house, regardless of where they die in that house, they don't haunt one tiny section of the house. They haunt the entire thing. Do the people that made this horror movie, have they ever seen a horror movie before? The ghost haunts the entire house. Not just the pool, not just the bedroom. They haunt the entire fucking house. This movie doesn't make any sense. There's no logic in the fucking movie. What the fuck am I watching? What the actual doggone fuck am I fucking watching? Holy fucking shit. So yeah, Megan, first Megan movie, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Megan 2.0, 0 minus. Night Swim, 0 double minus. Because what the actual fuck? Every single person that had anything to do with the production of Night Swim needs to be fired and blackballed from ever making any movie or TV show ever again. Because of how god fucking awful that was. I would rather go eat garbage from a rotten landfill than watch another movie like the fucking goddamn Night Swim ever again in my fucking life. Lastly, I'd like to bring up Final Destination. We're gonna review all 6 movies, okay? We're not gonna go into detail about each one, but I just binge watched all 6 of them, including Bloodlines, and holy shit, Final Destination is so entertaining. Now, I wouldn't classify it as a horror movie, and here's why. So, in every Final Destination movie, it always starts off with someone having a vision of something bad happening where a bunch of people die. That person has a panic attack and warns everyone about their vision, saving a bunch of lives in the process. But here's the thing, death is a natural force of nature, and death has a plan for everyone. Kind of like, call it the Grim Reaper, call it death what you will. The Grim Reaper is never mentioned in the Final Destination movies, but because of the way it's written, it reminds me a lot of the Grim Reaper stories about how the Grim Reaper is death itself, and death has a plan for each and every one of us and how we're going to die and when we're going to die. So, basically, this person has a vision that sees a glimpse of the future and can sense that death is coming. Because this person panics about their vision and warns people, and people listen, some people listen, those people escape death. But see, here's the thing, since those people were marked for death, death is now coming after them one by one with supernatural events that happen on an everyday occurrence to kill the survivors that were not initially supposed to survive. And the entire movie, there's always a group of friends trying to cheat death, and they ultimately fail. Now, here's why I don't consider it a horror movie. Number one, it's death, which it really isn't death. Death is just a force of nature, so it's really basically these people are dying of natural causes that happen every single day. So one could actually argue that death itself is not even in the movie. Death in the sense of like this spiritual, demonic entity that goes around killing people. Death, once again, death is a real force. Okay, let's separate fiction from non-fiction. Death is a real force that exists in the non-fiction world. Call it death, call it God's plan, call it what you will. The cold hard truth is that you and I are going to die one day. Every single person on the planet is going to die one day of some cause, whether it's of old age, whether it's naturally, whether it's a freak accident, whether you're fucking murdered by somebody. It's the circle of life. People die, people are born, people grow up, people grow old, people die. It's the circle of life. So because death is a natural force, I really don't see it as something like demonic or satanic. Like, I don't see it like as a vampire or a ghost or a demon of some sort. I see it as like, okay, so this is something that happens every day, and that's why these people can't cheat death, because cheating death, well, that's like trying to cheat God. You can't cheat God. You can't cheat God's plan for you. You cannot. You ever heard the saying, you cannot change your fate no matter how hard you try? It's basically that. So every movie that I watch of Final Destination, I already know these people are not going to cheat death. At the end of the film, every person that's in this film is going to die. Another reason why I don't consider this a horror movie is because it's not scary at all. Yes, there's gore in it, but simply having gore in a movie does not make it scary. There are plenty of action movies with gore. They're not considered horror movies, they're considered action movies. And I would actually argue that Final Destination is more of an action movie than it is a horror movie. But since the internet has decided to put it in the horror category, I'm going to go ahead and review it on this horror podcast. And the movie is highly unrealistic. I mean, so many of the deaths that occur and the way these people die, it's like, yeah, okay, that would never happen in real life. Okay, so in the first Final Destination movie, we have the iconic Flight 180. A kid is supposed to go on a field trip to Paris with his high school friends, but has a vision of the plane exploding, panics, and he gets kicked off the plane because no one believes him. Everyone's like, he's crazy. How dare, like, you know, I mean, granted, this is before 9/11. If you walk into an airport now and you say something crazy like this plane's about to explode, oh, they are going to arrest your ass. Yeah, they don't play about that shit. But yeah, they kick him off the plane, and some of his friends decide to get off the plane as well. That's weird. Guys, this is so strange. As I'm recording this podcast, I just felt some weird electric vibration go through my body. I'm not touching anything electrical. I'm sitting at a table here. I just felt this weird electrical shockwave run through my body. What the fuck? My hand is still tingling from it. What the fuck was that? I don't know. Maybe I'm indirectly summoning some demons by talking about all this horror shit. Anyway, so, holy shit, I just felt it again. What the fuck is going on? Holy shit, I just felt it again. Okay, I thought it might be a notification from my phone, but no one's texted me. Why am I getting these random vibrations? Is this a sign? Anyway, where was I? So, because the kid from Flight 180 gets a bunch of people off the plane then explodes, which raises some suspicion from authorities, thinking maybe this kid from Flight 180 had something to do with the explosion. And I keep saying kid from Flight 180 because I don't remember anyone's fucking name. Okay, there are 6 different Final Destination movies, and in every new movie there's an entirely different cast. I don't remember anyone's name from the films. He basically predicted the future, saved a bunch of lives indirectly because of it, but then death starts to go after them one by one in the order that they died. One kid gets strangled to death literally from the shower, literally like this cable from the shower gets up by itself and strangles him, making it look like a suicide. And that was one of the most unrealistic deaths of all time. And see, they kind of went with the whole horror entity because the cable picks up itself and kills the kid. And the cable looks like it's possessed by like a ghost or a demon or something. But then after the first Final Destination movie, they just completely abandoned it. And now it's like, whenever something kills you, it's knocked over by something or some shit. Or like in another scene, the kid slips on some water from the toilet. So the water, you see the water come out from under the toilet. The kid slips on the water and hits his head on the tile floor. And after the kid falls, the water creeps back under the toilet. Now that looks like something like, okay, there's some sort of demonic entity going on here. There's something going on here. But every other movie after that, it was just like, I don't know, a glass bottle fell because someone was playing their music too loud and vibrating the house. And so now this glass fell, and then someone stepped on the glass and slipped and hit their head on the counter or something. That's not an exact scenario, but that's something that would happen in a Final Destination movie. And it's like, yeah, okay, first of all, that doesn't fucking happen. It could happen, but it's very, very extreme. That wasn't happen. Secondly, that's like something that just like, that would naturally happen. It's not necessarily, oh, your house is possessed and something is moving. No, you fucking died because you were playing your music too loud and you were vibrating your entire fucking house. That's why I said Final Destination should not fall into that whole horror category. In the Final Destination movie, it just features a lot of graphic deaths, like someone getting hit by a train. And they basically figure out, they're like, okay, so Death has a pattern here. He's going to kill us off one by one. And like a few times they try to intervene with Death. And Death will skip a life and kill someone else, but then ultimately come back and kill that person. At the end of the first movie, there's 3 survivors who think they've cheated Death. A girl and 2 guys. At the end of the movie, they think they cheated Death, but they both ultimately die in an electrical freak accident. The girl survives and comes back in Final Destination 2. So in Final Destination 2, someone has a vision of a truck, being a Mack truck, carrying a bunch of wood, a bunch of logs on a trailer. And the driver is drunk driving, and a screw comes loose on the truck, causing these logs to fly everywhere and kill a bunch of people because of a huge highway, causing a big highway accident and killing a bunch of people. And because of this vision, you know, she has a panic attack, pulls over on the side of the road. The cops stop. They're like, "Miss, what's going on? Are you okay?" She's like, "A bunch of people are about to die in an accident." And it happens. And she saves a bunch of people. And then once again, Death starts coming after them one by one. The girl that survived in the first Final Destination movie, she returns and helps them escape. She tries to help them cheat Death, but because she is still on Death's list, she gets killed like halfway through the movie. Everyone else dies. Then, honestly, and I just saw these movies, 3, 4, and 5 to me are just a blur. I remember certain things about it, like I remember the NASCAR accident, although I can't remember which accident it was. See, I feel like when you watch so many movies that are part of like a movie series, they kind of start to blend in as if it was one big movie, and you forget what exactly happened when. Like, you remember what happened, you remember the scenes, but you would forget what happened when. So, like, I remember the NASCAR scene. The NASCAR scene is one of the most iconic scenes. So, if you haven't seen that one, basically there's a NASCAR crash that kills a bunch of people. And something that I've always thought about, because I've actually been to a NASCAR race myself, and I used to watch NASCAR on TV. One thing that I always thought about is, how does that skinny little barbed wire fence prevent you guys from being injured if there's a giant crash? I'm not talking about a minor crash. I'm talking about a giant crash, like a car is sent up in the air and crashes into the fence and explodes. Yeah, y'all are dead. And that movie illustrated exactly what I always envisioned what happened should such a drastic accident occur. But yeah, 3 through 5 are honestly such a blur towards me. Part 6, Final Destination Bloodlines, which is the one I just finished watching. Honestly, it was very good. But it's more or less the same story, basic. So let's circle back to part 5. Part 5 gets interesting because they find out that if you kill someone, you basically get the time that they had left. And in a sense, you cheat death. But no, not really, because death is still going to come for you sooner or later. Here's the thing. In part 4, I believe it was, a guy tries to kill himself to speed up death's process, but cannot, because there is someone ahead of him who was supposed to die first. And because it was not his time yet, he did not die. And he couldn't kill himself. Once that person died, that guy, and see, I think it's so ironic how this guy was literally talking about, like, okay, we need to watch our surroundings because death is coming for us. And this guy walks out into the road without paying attention and gets hit by an ambulance and dies. I'm like, bro, you were literally talking about watch your surroundings, and you couldn't do something as simple as look both ways before you cross the street? It's common fucking sense. What the actual fuck? But yeah, that is something that I do remember in Final Destination 5, is one of the people on Death's list literally goes crazy, and he tries to kill someone at the end of the film because he thinks it will save his own life. But here's what happens. He ends up killing a police officer and then attempts to go into hiding because, now he realizes he's going to go to jail. And he gets killed by someone else. And see, this is something very interesting. The Final Destination movies are very, very interesting to me. Because, okay, so you've learned that if you take a life, you get more time on yours. But now that you've killed someone, you now need to go serve time in prison for it. Additionally, there are other people that isolate themselves in their homes and never leave their houses because of the fear of dying. And see, the crazy thing is that there are people who actually live like this. There are people who will not leave their house because they're afraid a tree will fall on them, or they'll get into a car crash, or something will happen. I love how Final Destination correlates to real life very closely, but at other times it does not. Like the guy who dies during a massage, or the girls who get fried to death while getting a spray tan. And it's so crazy how so many of these people indirectly cause their own deaths because they're being stupid. So I forget which Final Destination movie it was, but I do remember some people died because a roller coaster collapsed, which is something that has happened in real life, and something that a lot of people are afraid of when going to carnivals and amusement parks is, hey, if I get on this high ride, no matter what the high ride is, but the most iconic one being a roller coaster, what if a screw comes loose and I die? And I think that honestly is what scares people more. Listen, I love to go to carnivals and get on all the high rides. I love heights. I love the thrill of it. Especially the higher up the better, and the faster the drop is, the better. But something that I have found, because when you get on the ride, you're not so much thinking of like, oh, what if I fall? You're thinking all it takes is one rip in the seatbelt, one loose screw in the roller coaster. That's all it takes for the entire thing to come crashing down. Just natural wear and tear. All it takes is for that one thing to come crashing down, and you are falling to your death. Like, yes, it's naturally scary for you, or thrilling, I should say, for that drop. When you're high up in the sky and you are dropping at 40 miles an hour to the ground. But something about the fact, my hair could get caught in this little screw here and rip or something. And I think Final Destination literally shows us things that we have already feared. Like, I've literally thought that, being on the highway and seeing a huge truck carrying a bunch of logs. Okay, what if one screw comes loose, or that rusty chain breaks, and that log falls? It's going to hit a car and cause an accident and cause a bunch of deaths. So it's very realistic in a sense. But then there are deaths that happen where it's like, yeah, this would never fucking happen. So yeah, I think that was very, very, very cool how, like, in part 5, people went crazy and were trying to kill each other to save their own lives. But then, this is the point I was going at. If I knew, okay, you put a gun in my hand. Let's say you put a gun in my hand. You tell me you can either live naturally and you're going to die today, or you can shoot a person next to you and take their life and get 20 years added onto your life instead of dying today, but you're going to go to jail for those 20 years. Personally, I would choose to let that person live and let death take my life today, and I can just go out and do whatever the fuck it is I want to do and live my life to the fullest. Because what's the point of living 20 years if I'm going to spend it in a jail cell? In Bloodlines, Iris, okay, so Iris predicts something, which is another common fear that people have at the sky view. What if a glass breaks that you're walking on and you fall? What if a screw comes loose and the whole thing comes crashing down? You know, I think that's generally why people are scared of heights, not because of heights themselves, but because of what happens, you know. If a parachute works perfectly fine, I don't think we would be so scared. It's the thought of, what if my parachute breaks? Like, what if, oh, no, the parachute's fine, it's not gonna break. Okay, well, what if a bird flies into my parachute and rips it with its beak? I'm going to fucking die. And I think that's why people have a fear of heights. Now, me personally, I love heights. Now, yes, I still have those thoughts of, like, okay, say I get on this roller coaster, right? Or let me use a more accurate one, because those swings, I don't know the names of all. I'll call it the Wheel of Death. I don't know the names of all these rides, so I tend to give them my own names. The Wheel of Death. So it's like a roller coaster. You get into this little cart, and it's basically one big circle, and it shoots you up into the sky. So it goes round and round in a circle. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but it shoots you round and round in a circle. And sometimes it will stop and leave you hanging upside down. 30, 40 feet in the air, you're just hanging upside down. And while you're hanging upside down, you start thinking, holy shit, what if my seatbelt fucking breaks and I fall to my death? Honestly, for me, I don't feel fear when doing that. It actually makes it more exciting for me. It makes it more exciting for me, and when my time is up and I get off the ride, it makes me want to get on it again. Like, I don't know how to explain it for me. Like, some might call it fear because I'm still having that thoughts of, like, what if a screw comes loose and the whole ride collapses and I die while I'm at the top? I wouldn't call it a fear, because having that fear makes me want to do it even more. It fuels me to get on that ride even further. I don't know how to explain it, but the thought of me dying makes me want to get on the ride even more. And then when I make it out alive and I don't die, I want to get on that ride again and again and again until I empty out my entire bank account on tickets. Like, once again, I don't know how to explain this to you. I don't know. I love heights. I'm obsessed with it. I regularly hang out on the roof of my apartment complex. And I don't mean, so my apartment complex actually has, like, a roof hangout area. I rarely go there. I go to, like, the actual roof, and I literally sit on the edge of my roof, and I'll be sitting there reading a book, and I'll get these impulsive thoughts, like, you know, all it would take is a pigeon that's not looking where it's going. Okay, we've seen pigeons flying to glass windows before, right? All it would take is a pigeon or one gust of wind to put a plastic bag or a newspaper in my face, and because of where I'm sitting, I would literally fall backwards and fall to my death, or at the very least, very, very injured because I am sitting 5 stories off the ground. Yet here I am, sitting on the very edge of my roof, scrolling through TikTok on my phone or reading a book without a care in the world. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, other people look at it and be like, well, you still have that thought, so you are scared. And I'm just like, I'm not scared at all. Because if I was scared, I wouldn't be sitting up here on the roof. And people would be like, oh, you're confronting your fears. Okay, well, how come I am calmly reading a book while sitting on the edge of a rooftop that is 5 stories high? Explain that to me. So it's a very interesting concept. Anyway, let me end this off by talking about Final Destination Bloodlines. One of the reoccurring characters is JB, who makes his final appearance in Final Destination Bloodlines due to his actor Tony Todd passing away. And it's funny because throughout the films, he's the only reoccurring character throughout the films. And he wasn't in a couple of them, but he's a recurring character. And because he shows up conveniently whenever there's a death, it makes you question of whether he is death himself. But in Bloodlines, it turns out that he is not. So back to the start. There's this girl named Iris who has a vision of people falling from the sky view and falling to their death. She saves a bunch of people because she gets a bunch of people off the sky view because of that. Including JB, who was then a child. JB grows up to become the last person on death's list. Here's what happened. The people that were supposed to die on the Skyview because Iris prevented their deaths, a bunch of those people survived and went on to have final families. So what happened is death marked all those family members for death. Iris isolated herself for decades and got killed when she finally stepped out of her house, which I thought was stupid. I was like, listen, bitch, if I would rather, like I said, I would rather die today and live life to its fullest than hide in my house for decades with the fear of dying. And so Iris's granddaughter convinces her whole family that, oh, we're all gonna die, we need to find a way to cheat death, and you can't cheat death. And they all end up dying at the end of the film. Let me tell you why they can't cheat death ever. Is because we are all marked for death. When you had that vision of that freak accident happen, and you indirectly saved people because you sensed something was going to happen, okay? Flight 180 happening. The glass on the Skyview cracking. The roller coaster collapsing. The logs causing the accident on the highway. You had a vision, which can't happen in real life. You had a bad feeling, a gut feeling that something was about to happen, which can't happen in real life. And you prevented it from happening. And you're saying, oh, I cheated death. No, you didn't. You're still marked for death. You're just marked at a later time. We are all going to die one day. We are all marked for death. You can call it death. You can call it the circle of life. You can call it God's plan. Call it what you want to. We are all marked for death. And so for y'all to drive yourselves crazy out here trying to cheat death, and literally committing felonies like fucking murder and whatnot to try and cheat death. And I don't know, add another life onto your own. I mean, it's just stupid. Like, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, man, everyone in this movie is fucking stupid. They're all idiots. They're all fucking mindless idiots. Like, these people are dying of natural causes and you're like, oh my God, I'm living in fear. How can I cause it? I'm like, Jesus Christ. Y'all are fucking idiots. My head is hurting talking about it. Anyway, I'm not trying to complain about Final Destination because I actually rather enjoy it. Somehow, listen. All 6 of the Final Destination movies, they're basically the same plot line, and it's very predictable because of the plot line. Someone has a vision of a freak accident that causes a lot of deaths. Because of that freak accident, because of that vision, they are able to save a bunch of lives. Those lives are now supposedly marked for death, and they all slowly or quickly start to die off one by one, in the order or not in the order that death marks them, that they were originally supposed to die. And there's a friend group trying to cheat death who ultimately fail, and every single person dies at the end of the movie. Because why can't they cheat death? Well, because you cannot change your fate. And a lot of it's very unrealistic, and you laugh at it, and it's like, yeah, okay, that would never happen in real life. But then at the same time, there's a lot of it that's very real, and I think it's very interesting because of that, and I know I'm repeating myself. Somehow, I watched all 6 movies, and I did not get bored once. I found it to be very, very entertaining. I would give every Final Destination movie a 10 out of 10. Number 1 was peak, number 2 was peak, number 5 and 6, being Bloodlines, they were all peak. I honestly don't remember. I remember bits and pieces of 3 and 4, but between 3 and 5, they all kind of just blend together as if they're one big movie. I don't see many people complaining about the Final Destination movies, yet I hear people complaining about repetitive storylines in movies such as Scream. For example, in a movie about Scream, it's like, okay, well, you're going to have someone in a ghost face mask killing people, and it's going to be someone in the friend group, and so the friends are going to start to turn on each other, and they're going to start to suspect that you are the killer, and then they still manage to provide that shock value. And it's a detective movie, and I could go on and on about how Scream is so predictable, but also not. But a lot of people online, they tire of the Scream movies, and they say, how are they making a 7th Scream movie when it's literally the same story with different cast members every single Scream movie? Or the Fast and the Furious. I know Fast and Furious isn't horror, but the Fast and the Furious is literally the exact same storyline. In all 10, they have, if you include Hobbs and Shaw, they have 11 Fast and Furious movies. And F11 and F12 are in production right now. They are all the same story, and the action scenes are crazy unrealistic. However, I find Scream and Fast and Furious very entertaining. I rush to the theater whenever there's a new Scream or Fast and Furious movie out. I love it. I absolutely love it. Scream is one of my favorite horror movies. My entire bathroom was Ghostface themed with Ghostface stickers on my mirror. And I still have a Ghostface soap dispenser. And I had a Ghostface bath mat. And I went dressed as Ghostface for Halloween for 3 years in a row. That is how much I love Ghostface. And I love the horror, the Scream franchise. Especially with Sam and Tara. Sam and Tara from Scream 5 and Scream 6 are 2 of my favorite final girls in all of horror. The Fast and Furious, I love the Fast and Furious. I know it's repetitive. I know it is so unrealistic, but I love it. Final Destination, I love it. I love the gore. I love the action scenes. I love the thrill. I love how well it is written, that it provides you with that shock value. Like, you know, these movies are so predictable, yet it still manages to provide you with that shock value. And you should have seen it coming, but holy shit, I never saw that coming. I love it. Scream, 10 out of 10. Fast and Furious, 10 out of 10. Final Destination, 10 out of 10. My only question is, and this is going to be my final question before I end this episode, how is it that people complain about Scream and Fast and Furious, about it being unrealistic and repetitive, but no one complains about Final Destination? Alright, and that wraps up today's episode. Stay tuned for the next one. You're listening to Every Night is Halloween.